Okay, so today our big plan is to continue talk about how to start a drawing. Last time we went over basically what we kind of called a gesture, just getting something on our paper. And the important thing about that is once I get something on my paper, right, and I would say this drawing is about at that stage that we left our last drawing off at, now I can start fixing things. And you'll notice some things like if you're struggling laying in ellipses, when we just practiced those the class before this, if you're struggling laying in ellipses, maybe you need to come in, lay in a box like I've done here, where this tire should be, and create a scaffold for yourself to go ahead and lay in that circle. Then I can come in, went a little bit outside the box, come in and lay in my circle. All right, I've got this back plane right here that you can kind of see through this. Lay that in. I don't need to draw or darken that back spot because I know this front spot. Whoops, a little sloppy with my line there. Kind of helps there, and I can pull out that box if I want to, but I've basically used that box as a scaffold to start pulling out this wheel a little bit more accurate. And I'm not going to get too much into that because I might find out that that's, lighten it up just a bit, might find out that that's not the right size, it might be in the wrong spot, but I've just roughed it in there like that. Okay, so I left some pretty glaring mistakes here to kind of demonstrate how to measure and get proportions. And when I talk about measuring and getting proportion, I'm not literally going to pull out a ruler, measure the tire of this, and then put it here at the exact same height. What I want to do is make sure that things are proportionally related to each other. So, to do that as an example today, I am going to measure, for example, the height of this tire, and I'm going to compare that to other things in the drawing, and hopefully I'll have some images up that help explain that a little better. But what I'll do is I'll lock out my arm, all right, my elbow needs to be straight, and I'm going to put the tip of my pencil on one side of the tire and the tip of my thumb on the other, and I'm going to measure how tall that is on the object. So right now I'm sticking my arm out, I'm measuring that tire, and what I can do once I found that measurement is I can compare it to, say, how tall this truck is. All right, and so let's say, the measurement we're working with is here. It's going to be the same distance as that. All right, and so I'm going to measure that, and I'm going to compare that, and I'll show an image of me doing that, to the height of the truck. And what I'm finding is the tire is about, it's about 2.5 tires tall. Okay, and so now if I come back here and I measure this tire, and I use this tire to find the height of the other ones, I can already see I'm way off, okay, because as I'm measuring the second one, the second length of tire should come up about here, and it's not. So coming up, and then I come up here. And so this is almost 3 tall, so that means it's way too tall compared to this tire. Now I have 2 options. I can shorten this down, or I can shorten my tire, or I can make my tire bigger. I kind of like the size of what's going on here, and so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to find how tall this should be, and then I'm going to make a mark, and I'm going to kind of squeeze everything down. So let me do that real quick. About right there. And that's the third one. What we kind of see is, going back and checking my reference, it's about 2.5, so I'm going to say the height should be somewhere around here on my drawing. And literally I just compared this to this to this. Those are all 3 equal lengths, and it's a little above half. And so now I can start to kind of pull out this top piece. I probably need to pull out this top of that too. All right, and so I know this mark right here should kind of be where the top of this glass is, and so I'm going to put that in. All right, I know it's got this angle on it. And another good trick with your pencil, if I'm not sure the exact angle on that, I can hold my pencil up to it and tip it until I find that angle, bring it back to my drawing and find the exact angle. I'm finding that if this is the top and that's the bottom, we've got a little bit of an arc here. This comes down. This would be about where the front top is. Laying that in. I know that this should be the top of that yellow piece. I'm going to kind of just hint at it right now. Something like that. My orange piece comes across this way. I can also compare, without measuring, things on my drawing and how they go together. So I can see that this orange piece sticks out closer to this edge than I had it on my previous drawing, and so I can bring that out a little bit more. Drop that in. Bring this across. I see that this corner here seems to be right above this hump here, so I think that's a pretty good spot for that. Okay, this is going to come down here. I got the corner of the truck here. This is relatively flat all the way across until it hits back here. Now, another thing I'm kind of noticing. Notice how here I can almost see this full tractor tread on this triangular shape back here. But if you look at my image, right, up there, the wheel is actually covering up a lot more of that tractor tread than I have here. And so it looks like all of that needs to be slid this way. And I'm kind of getting that feeling, looking at this part too, that this needs to be something like right there. Lay this in. That's a lot more flat. That goes something right. I would say that goes right there. That looks more accurate. Get my sloppy line out of there. Pull that down. I'll go ahead. Definitely think this corner. How do I want to do that? If the tire's here, this corner needs to be like right there. So this goes up. This goes over. Over. And then this actually disappears behind this round shape here, like that. So now I can pull this line that's wrong out, right? I always like to put the right line in before I pull the wrong one out, or I risk making the same line over and over again. I'm going to find the angle of this real quick. It's about right there. Okay, now I can erase out these lines because they're getting a bit confusing. Finding that maybe this needs to be a little bit more like that, so I might want to turn this tire a little bit. I like the height of the tire. I think it just needs to be pinched in a little bit to help it feel like it's turning more. Not so circular, more elliptical. Okay. This needs to be brought in here. Like that. There we go. That seems much more turned. Drop that in. Already looking better. Okay. So now, start laying in. This is wrong, right? Because I fixed it here. So I need to find this piece here and this piece here seem kind of lined up. So I'm going to line them up. Drop in the back piece, because it seems to stick out to about this halfway mark. Find this angle's pretty straight across. And drop this in. My marks are still nice and light. I'm not getting caught up in details like trying to finish the grill, right? I'm not doing all the little cool bits in here or the cool bits in here. I got to get these big shapes in first, okay? So, and I used that tire to find the height. I could use that tire to find anything, all right? I could take that same tire, which I'm probably going to do, and find out how wide this area is supposed to be. I can, and I picked the tire at random. I could have picked any number of things. I could have used, this shape here. I could have used how tall this triangular track was. I could have used the width of this button here. I could have used any number of things. I just chose the tire because it seemed like a really good unit to use. And so yeah, I'm gonna measure the distance here because this is starting to feel like maybe it's getting out of control a little bit. So let me measure that real quick. It's definitely a little bit less than 2. So if I take this up here again, and I bring that from here, I'm bringing it from the inside of that yellow piece, right? Make sure you know where your reference is. I'm going to bring it from the inside of this yellow piece. That's 1 tick, and that's 2 ticks. Really, it looks like this first tick should be about here, so I definitely need to shrink this whole piece in a little bit. I think I'm going to move this inside here. I can erase that out. I'm going to put this one here. These are those 2 gray pieces that are sticking out the front. That seems a lot more accurate. This, like the inside of the tire, or the outside of the tire, needs to be like right there. So what I can do is I can box that in. I know that the front is going to line up with this front, and so I can lay that angle in. But that should be the outside, so I can bring this in a touch. I know that. That goes back, and that goes back. I have my tires going to come here on one side, come across, and here's the inside of that same tire. It's going to disappear back behind the truck. This is going to hook in, and then I've got those gray pieces coming in here. Nice. I feel like maybe this needs to be in just a touch more. So now I've got my right shape in there, which is getting a little confusing, right? Some of you are probably not sure which one's the real tire is. So now I can pull out the old tire. Clean up my marks a little bit. I'm getting a bit dark. I'll pull those out. I'll pull out my scaffold. So now I have something like that. So I was able to use that tire to find how thick that one was. Now, some things I need to start paying attention to. These tires are drastically different widths. So I might need to bring this in just a touch more. Face out this bad part. Alright, so things are starting to look better. Okay, I can start going around fixing, and that's that's really all we're doing today, is making little tiny corrections until we get the truck, where we want it to be. I'm starting to feel like there's a little bit of this grill on this side kind of comes here, and then this comes up on the inside just a touch more. It's not nearly as long of a nose on this. It's a little more stubby. So I can fix that. I'm just make little tiny fixes. Another thing I kind of like you to start focusing on a little bit in here is indicate the table somehow. All right, and so when I'm looking at this table, I see that it's kind of coming in through the front tire. I'm going to lightly pull that out this way, and then my corner piece comes there. In the future, we'll talk about like mapping out a shadow that kind of helps it sit a little bit better. But I think for right now, just mapping the table just a little bit will help your drawing sit on the surface a little bit. That feels a bit long. I've shortened this, and I used that to find out where this should end, so I feel like this should maybe come in just a touch more. Right, slowly getting more and more accurate as we do this drawing. And that's the goal, accuracy right now. Take some time. I'm going to give you about 10 minutes. I want to see at least 3 of them if you're a remote kid. And we'll kind of knock out, knock out 3 of them. And make sure you're posting to Google Classroom. I'm getting a lot of emails from people about, hey, can I still turn this in for full credit? You can always turn things in for full credit until the end of the semester. If I thought it was important enough to assign to you, I think it's important enough to grade, okay? And so you need to make sure you're turning that in. I will always take it up until the last day of the semester. So feel free to redo if you think you messed up on one of the former ones or you didn't get it posted. I'll still grade it. Other than that, knock them out. Need 2 of them. Don't feel like you need to finish these. If you finish them, you're missing the point again. We're just practicing how to start a drawing.